So firstly, I apologise that my Hungarian is not up to giving a talk. It's not up to anything actually. So English. Yesterday in Israel was a big day, and it was a big day here. Lag BaOmer, and Lag BaOmer is famous because it's the yort site of Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. And in fact, my daughter went to Meron. She managed to get there, which is better than a lot of people. And on that day, people try to learn the Torah of Reb Shimon, and they try to get near to his Torah. I didn't think that the day after Lag BaOmer I was going to be in a place called Simontornya, and that's where I am at the moment. We're in Simontornya. Is that Simontornya? Actually, the word Tornya means a tower. Is that right? And so we're in Shimon's tower. When I think of tower, I think of two things. I think of the Tower of Bovel, and I think about the Tower of Pisa. So those are two towers I have in mind. I want to give just a short idea that's quite challenging. See how you do. That links the Talmud Bavli, Tower of Bovel, with pizza. And I've got two questions. Okay, pizza questions. Question number one. If I'm using any words you don't know, please ask. I'll try and... Somebody goes into a pizza store. His friend was hungry. He said, I want some pizza. How am I going to get pizza? And his friend says to him, let's call them Robert. And his friend Louis says, I'm going to town. I will buy a pizza for you. Give me the money. Place. What?
I work in a pizza place.
You actually work in a pizza place?
Pizza place.
Okay,
yes.
So maybe you can tell me what you would do with these two questions. He goes into the pizza place to buy a pizza for his friend. He has the money from his friend, and he buys the pizza. And as soon as he's finished paying, suddenly there's cameras, and what's going on? And the owner comes out and says, you are our 10,000th customer. You're the 10,000th person to buy a pizza here. We want to give you free vouchers for 23 pizzas. He comes back, gives the pizza to his friend, and says, here's your pizza. By the way, when I was there, they gave me these free vouchers. Really lucky, no? Now, what do you reckon the person who paid for the pizza is going to say? What's he going to say?
It's his.
It belongs to me. I was the purchaser. You just went and picked it up for me. Who gets the free vouchers? That is question number one.
They are real friends. They split them.
You're right. I would just tell you, if everyone is real friends, the courts will have nothing to do. But I can assure you, the courts are very busy. Yeah, people are not real friends. And when it comes to money, people aren't real friends. And let's just make the question a little bit more complicated. What happens if it would be two friends who are buying the pizza together? Yeah? And let's call them Robert and Louis, and they send Stephen to buy it for them. Let's make it simpler. Let's just say there are 3 pies that we can divide that up in a number of ways. 3 free pies with 8 slices. How many slices is that? 24. How are we going to divide it up between the 3 of them? Does everyone hear the first question? Second question. Somebody's hungry. He wants pizza. My friend is going into town. He'll pick it up for me. And he picks up the box and he brings it back. And the person who ordered the pizza opens the pizza, and there are 2 pies inside, and he only paid for 1. They put 2 pies inside. What does he do? So he phones up and he says, you sent me 2 by mistake. What do you reckon the owner of the store is going to say?
Keep it, it's our gift.
Keep it. I mean, there's no point taking it back. The resale value of that pie is minimal. Okay?
Ishke mostly koko. That's the first.
Well, this isn't okay. We'll see.
Is it a tam?
It's a principle. It is a principle, but we'll see. This is slightly different. And what happens if it was two people buying, one person picking it up? Yes? Who is going to keep it? The person makes the call. The owner says keep it. How do we divide it up? It's two people. One person's buying it and the other one says, oh, maybe I'll have 4 slices with you. How do they divide up the bonus? Is everyone with me so far? 2 questions. There is, and I'm going to slightly go off to a different angle, but we know that there is one of the first laws that we teach when our young children start learning Talmud. What's the chapter? One of the first chapters that's taught.
שניים אוחזים.
No, you don't start with Shnai Moses.
מציז.
One starts with Eina Mitzis. Yeah, Shnai Moses is very complicated. One doesn't start with Shnai Moses. That you learn when you're a bit older. But this they start when they're 10. We believe that we know, the law is that when you find a lost object, what do you have to do?
Return.
And the answer is, I tell my students, there are 2 answers that I can answer just about any question with. I've been teaching for well over 30 years. I always use one of these 2 answers. If somebody asks me a question, I just say,
מחלוקס.
it's a difference of opinion. That's answer number 1, that works. Yes. And what's the other answer?
I don't know.
The first one.
It depends. It depends. Yeah, those are 2 answers. What are we going to do? What are we going to do with these 2? What are we going to do with these 2 questions? Now, I want to tell you, I'm going to be learning yesterday. Besides being the yahrzeit of the Shimon Bar Yochai, it's the yahrzeit of somebody else who lived a little bit closer to Hungary. Perhaps one of the greatest heroes in Jewish history. Who is that? I want to tell you. Yahrzeit. Not just with Shimon. I'm sure everyone here has heard, maybe. What's the basic, famous book of Jewish law? Not the Rambam. What's the most famous book of Jewish law? Maybe you've heard of it? Well, not the Kitzur, but it's the Shulchan Aruch is the most famous. Now, the author of the Shulchan Aruch was writing in Israel. He lived in Tzfat, and he's buried in Tzfat. And he came out with the Shulchan Aruch. Not so far from here, you'll tell me how many miles, but in Poland, wait, Hungary borders Poland?
No,
No, it doesn't.
Not nowadays.
It did once upon a time? It did once upon a time. What?
Ukraine.
Oh, Ukraine is in the middle. Okay. Who was in Poland? There was a great rabbi called Rav Moshe Isserles. And he was also, there wasn't, you didn't have global communication, and he was unaware that Rav Yosef Karo was writing his work of Jewish law, and he himself was writing a similar work. And this is incredible. He heard that Rav Yosef Karo had printed his work. And he'd been working on his for years. And he said there should be only one work. And he shelved his. He didn't print it. And what he did was, I'm sorry the copy is so small, but this is a page of Shulchan Aruch. And it's surrounded by commentaries. But if you look at the top, I don't know if you can see this, and I'm happy to hand it round. There are 2 fonts. And the block font is Rav Yosef Karo. And Rav Moshe Isserles added his notes. And it's printed in a different font. And that way, one work, why is there a need for his notes? Because Rav Yosef Karo was Sephardi, and there are slightly different customs and laws. So Rav Moshe Isserles added his notes. Let's discuss a topic. I have to return a lost object. Now, it depends. Not every lost object. For example, if I find a 20 euro note in the street, what do? I can keep it. Why?
Because you cannot identify the
I can't identify the owner. If I can, let's say I find a wallet, and there's credit cards and a driving license and money, then I have to give it back. Why?
Because you can.
Because I can. I can find out who the owner is. I know who the owner is. I can find it out. Now, what's interesting, my obligation is, let's just say I live in Jerusalem and I find the wallet of somebody who lives in Bnei Barak. Yeah, they were visiting Jerusalem. Do I have to go to Bnei Barak to give it back to him? Do I have to go to Bnei Barak? I live in Jerusalem. It's a bother for me to go to Bnei Barak. Do I have to go to Bnei Barak to give it back?
We'll find somebody who goes to neighbor.
I will tell you, this is fascinating. The law is, perhaps one of the greatest rabbis in the last 100 years, wrote this explicitly, maybe you heard, Rav Moshe Feinstein, who's perhaps one of the greatest rabbis in America. Rav Moshe Feinstein said, I don't need to go to him. What do I need to do?
Write a letter.
I need to inform him I have it. Now that can be a phone call, that can be an email, as long as he knows I have it, it's his business to come to me. Now, why am I dealing with lost objects? In the stories I've told you, where's the lost object? Where's there a lost object in the cases that I set up? Yes. Yes. The plus pi, the extra pi is a lost object. So what's my obligation?
Inform the owner.
Inform the owner. If I inform the owner, it's up to him. If he wants to pick it up, what do I have to say? Come now. If you don't want to pick it up, that's your problem. In most cases, he will probably say keep it, which is what happened in that case. That is point number one. Lost object, I have to give it back. Now, let's discuss the following. Let's just say I send a friend to buy something from me and he gets a bonus. Who receives the bonus? Who would you say receives the bonus? In our case, who receives the vouchers? Who receives the vouchers?
Oh yes.
Who?
Oh, yes.
Who would you
The-
and the answer is one of two
found
possible
the-
answers.
He found the lost object on his
One sec. The
leg.
last object is the second case. In the first case, I got vouchers, no lost object. Who gets to keep the vouchers? And the answer is it depends. The Ramah, writing on the Shulchan Aruch, says it depends on the intent of the person giving. In other words, let's just say the agent comes in, yes, the person who's picking it up comes in and says, I'm buying a pie for somebody. And the owner comes out and says, wow, how are you? We're in school together, I haven't seen you for years. Take some free vouchers. Who gets the vouchers? Who gets the vouchers? The person who, the agent, because it was intended. What happens if the other way around? He comes in and says, the owner says, how do you want your pizza? Well, actually, I'm buying it for my friend. Who's your friend? Oh, he's a good customer. Take some free vouchers for him. Who gets the vouchers then? The person who's... Now, what happens if we don't know who they're intended for?
We might know, because if it's a bone, then it's an advertisement targeting the one who has the money, who sent the, the purchaser.
Could be, but if we would ask the owner, he might say as follows. You want to know something? I just wanted photos. I just want it printed in the newspaper. I don't care who it goes to. We made a big deal. I'm not interested.
If he says that,
I'm not
then
interested. Then who do the vouchers go to?
the shliach.
If we don't know who they go to, what would you say? So the law is...
Kind of similar to the lost object, because we don't know who's
So we
the
don't
owner.
know. So you know what we do? The law is we split it. Half-half between the person who is providing the money, purchasing, and the person who went to pick it up. Now, what happens if two people were purchasing and one person went to pick it up? How will we divide up then? Two people purchasing, they bought the pie together, they each paid half, and one person picks it up. What would you say?
1/3, 1/3, 1/3.
They should decide. They can't decide. They want us to decide for them.
I mean, the owners should split between them. It's their call to give it to the other guy or not.
No, here normally we've said that if it's 1 and 1, it's 50-50. What happens if it's 2 and 1?
Quarter, and
You're right. Why? Why? Explain,
yes.
explain. You're absolutely right.
Because it's like in the previous case, but we split the guy who gives the money.
Okay.
Both of them.
It's Aber, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Aber is, by the way, I'm sure you if you spend a year or two studying Talmud, you'll be an outstanding, yeah? Listen carefully. Actually, I studied in university. My field was economics. So let me put it in economic terms. If I use the terms, tell me if this is clear. There's a big question how we divide up profit between capital and labor. Are those terms clear? Capital and labor? You want to help me say it in Hungarian?
Tőke és munkaerő.
Now, actually, in Western capitalism, labor doesn't get too good a deal. Capital seems to take most of it. But in the Torah, yeah, the way you divide it up, one person is providing the capital. Who's providing the capital? The person who's buying the pie. It's his money. And the other person is providing the labor. He's going and picking it up. And you know how the Torah divides up capital and labor? 50-50. 50-50. So how do they share? How do they share the vouchers? 50-50. Now what happens if two people are buying the pie? If the capital still gets half, you're not going to get more for capital because there's 2 or 3 or 5. And you want to know something, if the pizza pie was so heavy it took 2 people to carry it, labor still only gets half. Is everyone with me so far? So as you said, in terms of the pie, yes, if we have 2 free vouchers, yeah, for, I don't know how, 3 free vouchers or whatever, we will divide up a quarter, a half. Okay? Last point. Aber, if you get this one, you are super brilliant. Okay? This one's, yes, are you ready? There's the extra pie. And the owner of the pizza store said, keep it. So now we have 2 pies. How many slices, please? How many slices in 2 pies normally? I don't know how they slice it in Hungary. How do they slice it in Hungary?
Szeret.
8? Szeret.
Yes, how many slices?
Hány részre osztják?
The answer is it depends on.
It depends.
Depends on
But
the
let's assume
Hungarian
that.
pie
Usually
is
6.
Oh, really? Because in Israel, it's 8. It's interesting. In Hungary, they slice 6. They give bigger slices. They're more generous. They're more generous here. Listen carefully. Please listen to the following question. 2 people ordered the pie together. One person goes and picks it up. We now have 16 slices of pizza. How are we going to divide 16 slices of pizza? How are we going to divide? Yeah?
The worker
What?
gets
4, 4, and 8. Why 4, 4, and 8?
Because I think those 2 who actually gave the money, they split first each of them. As an investor. And then each of them gives a half to the one who did the job.
One second. We've said, I would argue the following. Listen carefully. The first pie, they bought. So that is out of the picture. Those 8 belong to them. That's not a bonus pie. That's not a bonus pie. There's 8 out of the picture. So we're only discussing how you divide up the second pie, correct? How do you divide up the second pie?
quarter.
4, 2, 2.
So in other words, tell me if I'm saying correctly. You're going to say, if I've got 16 slices, it's going to be 6, 6, 4. Yes? 6, 6, 4? What do you say? 6, 6, 4? Is everyone means this is the final point? Focus? Yes? This is the last question. 6, 6, 4. Are you ready for the answer? Incredible. Incredible. The answer is that the person who went to get the pie doesn't get anything. Why? I'll tell you why. Are you ready? Listen,
Sure.
listen. Yeah. In the first case, he was given the bonus. Now the question is, how do we divide up the bonus he was given? Does he have the right to it or not? But he was given the bonus. In our case, when was the bonus given?
When they opened it.
No. When was the bonus given? When
they sent him.
No.
When they called the pizza.
Yes.
And they informed
Yes. When he called the pizza place and said, I've got an extra pie here, and the owner says, keep it, that's when the bonus is being given, correct? That's when the bonus is being given. At that point, the agent is out of the story. The agent doesn't have a right to that bonus. He picked up a pie. This is a bonus that is given after the pizza has been delivered. Correct? So the person who picked it up doesn't get anything. Now the question is, how do we divide up the pizza between the two of them? So the first pizza they'll divide 4, I'm going with the Israeli numbers, 4 and 4. Yeah, that's what I'm used to. What do we do with that second pie? What do we do with the second pie? And the answer is...
The one who called?
No, because are you ready? That's not what it depends on. I'll tell you what it depends on, and this is fascinating. Are you ready? One of them wanted a pizza pie, and the other one comes to him and says, listen, you shouldn't be eating so much, and I'm hungry too. How's about if, and this is crucial, how about if I buy 4 slices from you? Or, how about if I go halves with you on the pizza? Now there's all the difference in the world between if he says, I'll buy 4 from you, or if we go halves. What's that? What's the difference? In both cases he wants 4 slices, but there is a difference, and let me explain why. If he buys 4, he's a purchaser of 4. The other person is the owner, and he's selling 4. Therefore, the second person isn't an owner, he's just a purchaser of 4. Whereas if he says, let's go halves, what do we have here? We have, who said that? Yes, we have a partnership. And since we have a partnership, they are partners in the bonus. The expression that's used is going to be, now what happens, final point, I hope I'm not going too long, final point, and then we finish. Final point, what happens if the expression is doubtful? What happens if, let me buy 4 from you, let's be partners. Let's say use both and we don't know which is the critical expression. Assuming that they're honest, this is the litmus test question. Litmus test? Yeah? This is the question that, yeah?
Then this person gives the ownership to the one with this question.
Let me ask you, the second person who came along, I would ask him the following question. I'm assuming he's honest. Let's just say it would have been just 1 pie that was delivered. And your friend opened it to cool it down a bit. And when the box was open, a cat jumped through the window and started eating. Now, what are they going to do with that pie after the cat's been eating it? They're going to throw it out. Give the rest of the cat. What would you have said if that would have happened? Would you have said, I didn't get my slices that I bought from you? Or would you have said, shame about our pizza? If you would have said, hello, I never got my slices, then what are you? A purchaser. If you would have said, a shame about our pizza, what are you? A partner. If you ask the person, what would you have said in that situation, that will determine whether he gets the bonus. Okay, gentlemen, and ladies, I hope that wasn't too long. Yes? We will continue.
Skøye.